But the final embarrassment came when Jose attempted to re-release one of his films, and he planned to have it play with a huge Hollywood premiere at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. He envisioned this star-studded red carpet event that would show both Hollywood and the world that UFOs and moon anomalies and rods and whatever else they were to be taken seriously. He planned on inviting like Spielberg and Lucas and everyone in Hollywood.
Wow.
He planned this huge, huge event to just show the world that all this stuff was real. But sadly, this never happened. His financial partners all backed out at the last minute, leaving him in very, very serious debt. As we will hear now from an appearance that Jose Escamilla did with George Noory.
You know, some of my investors want to shoot me for crying out loud, man. They've been threatening to take me out if I don't pay them the money. And, you know, one of the investors, man, you know, I owe about $120,000, maybe $140,000 to these investors. And, you know, I wasn't making any revenue. And, you know, I'm trying to break even at least, man. I got to pay money back. I mean, so far in debt, George. It's ridiculous, you know. And, George, the day's going to come. I will be vindicated. And everyone that's accused me of being a hoaxer, a charlatan, a liar, and a con man. I mean, they're slamming me everywhere, George.
Have you ever been on Larry King's show with us?
No.
That's what we need to get you on.
We need to hook me up on Larry King.
George, as you can see, George
such
is not.
Bad idea.
It has nothing to do with that, and you can hear this is a very, very sad end of his career.
I love the violin. I
was about to ask. Did he do that on purpose? Because that's like extra mean.
It's very like he went into extreme debt trying to do this big Hollywood thing. It was kind of his last big like go for it moment where he was like, look, it's not all rods. I promise this is UFO stuff. This is the moon is in color. I've been taking those shrooms I was told about. It's very, you know, he did take this last shot, and he said he's got people trying to kill him. Like this he seems serious. Like he's in very, very dire situation here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, death threat sounds a bit extreme, but I mean, I don't really know how much money it takes to put together an event like this or whatever he was trying to do. But
yeah, a lot. He's
I really don't think he was a fraud, like a charlatan. Like I could see how people might have felt that they're swindled because there's scammers out there, but this guy just seems so much nicer.
He does, and it doesn't seem like, I think he just wanted to go bigger than most people did. Cause I mean, come on, most of our show is showing that a lot of these people are frauds, and there are a lot out there, but they're not taking the big swings like he is. But I gotta say, this is just a sad final act for the career of a guy that I respect a lot. And, he never recovered professionally from this, and on December 12th, 2018, after a long and courageous battle with congestive heart disease, Jose Escamilla passed away at the age of 67. And
oh, no.
I'm sure some of you may be surprised that I went down this road with my hero. I mean, I've been touting myself as the champion of rods for some time now, and that's not going to change. I'll become more of a student of Skyfish Protocol. I'll hopefully try and achieve the vindication that he didn't get in life, but it is hard to ignore some of the choices he made as a researcher, and I'm speaking mostly about those moon-based things. And, you know, as unbelievers, we all know too well, that is just SOS territory, and he seemed deep in it. But I'm going to stop that kind of talk right now. The final aspect of this man's remarkable life that I'm going to talk about, this happened years before he was thrown in this world of UFOs and Roswell and rods. And I'm going to ask you, have you ever heard of a young woman named Samantha Smith?
No. It sounds like a super basic name, but no.
Okay, I will tell you guys a story now. In 1982, 10-year-old Samantha Smith wrote a letter to Soviet leader Yuri Andropov. She wrote, "Dear Mr. Andropov, my name is Samantha Smith. I am 10 years old. Congratulations on your new job. I have been worrying about Russia and the United States getting into nuclear war. Are you ready to vote to have a war or not? If you aren't, please tell me how you are going to help to not have a war. This question you do not have to answer, but I would like it if you would. Why do you want to conquer the world, or at least our country? God made the world for us to share and take care of, not to fight over or have one group of people own it all. Please, let's do what he wanted and have everyone be happy too." Signed, Samantha Smith. And the Russian president, our leader of the Soviet Union, he answered by inviting Samantha and her family to visit Russia and meet the Russian people. Samantha became America's youngest ambassador for peace, and this was in 1982, the height of this Cold War. Her trip, it was covered by the Russian and American media, and she even appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. You can find that on YouTube. She was a very, very young and inspiring activist for peace, and I'm going to let you hear now. Here is Samantha addressing the media following that trip to Russia.
She came here after writing Andropov a letter asking him why the Soviet Union wants war. Her trip convinced her that it doesn't.
Soviet people are really nice people. They're just almost just like Americans.
It's hard
and her mother was also convinced.
But we certainly plan to tell the Americans that the Soviets are kind, warm people and that they too want peace, and we need to talk more and become better acquainted with each other as peoples, I think.
Samantha also thinks that Americans just do not understand the Soviet people.
Well, for one thing, they probably never met a Soviet person, and those people have never been to Russia. So if they say, like, we're wrong, they can't, it's not fair to say that because they've never been to Russia to find out.
It's very touching. In 1985, Samantha and her father were killed in a plane crash in Maine, and Samantha was just 13 years old. And to honor her legacy and her message of peace for the world's nuclear superpowers, a young musician and composer named Jose Escamilla put together a world event entitled 1 Minute of Peace, where he asked everyone in the world to stop what they were doing altogether for 1 minute in honor of Samantha Smith and the children of the world. He performed the title song at the Hollywood Bowl and via satellite worldwide, and the 1 Minute of Peace project was underway. So on that note, I'm going to rest my case, and we will end now with the song 1 Minute of Peace by Jose Escamilla. May he rest in peace.
In a small New England town, a little girl wrote a letter to a king on the other side of the sea. She traveled far in her dream for peace, and for 1 minute the world heard her plea. On a cold and rainy night, the king sadly read the news.
And that is, that's me putting the rest, the story of Jose Escamilla and Rods all together. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that was really nice. That was a very good tribute because as we witnessed, despite the fact that he clearly believes in this stuff, like I believe that he believes it. So I don't think he's not in SOS territory because he wasn't trying to scam people. So he didn't deserve to be ambassador quite that badly. So I'm glad that you took this angle.
I think anyone who spent their young life working towards 1 minute of peace and honoring this was, this was projected via satellite to Russia and U.S. at the time, and it's almost completely forgotten. In Russia, there are monuments and streets named after Samantha Smith. Her legacy is definitely felt there, and it's something that we should think about now because things seem to get
aren't good. Yeah.
And they aren't good anymore. And maybe it is something like that, this young ambassador of peace. And the fact that Jose was her champion, it seems to not matter anything else you would do in your life if you take up that cause. To me, that just shows a purity of heart that I don't think that is not in SOS territory at all. So I will never entertain that thought ever.
Oh, completely
I don't think he deserves SOS. I'm so surprised we never had any mention that he was a musician. I didn't know he could do that. Like, how come he never mentioned this before?
He brought it up a little bit in the beginning.
I said
and then I saw, like, when I looked him up a little bit, he also, apparently he was supposedly a keyboard player with the band The Charlatans. And I'm like, what? I know that band. Holy shit. That's crazy.
That is wild. It just shows that he was a good a good guy. I think he loved he had a passion for the supernatural, and I have a feeling that like rods were not the only thing that he was into over the years. I'm sure he was.
Yeah,
he probably would have been
structures.
I honestly think he would have been an unbeliever. He probably would have been a fan of the show. Just because you could tell by the passion in his voice. I think he was one of those people who was convinced himself about the rods, and it was just a passion of his. But I like I like that he did this song. I like that he did this song. It just shows that there's another side to him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone of this, he was this pure of heart. I just this changed my opinion of him a lot. I have a lot of respect for the guy.
Like, for the better, yeah. You already had a bunch of respect for him, and like now seeing that side of him, like that's so sweet that he did that.
Yeah, it's great, and may he rest in peace, because he did pass away. And yeah, I didn't bring up, I brought it up briefly earlier, but yes, he was a composer. He composed all the music for his things. And there is a famous Mexican musician named Tito Guizar. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tito Guizar, but he was very famous in movies. Even as an older man, he was in telenovas. But play song 3 for me, because Jose Escamilla worked very closely in the later years of musician Tito Guizar. And if you were into this kind of music at all, please look into him. He is a classic. So let's hear a little bit of some Jose Escamilla's favorite guy who he produced later in his life, Tito Guizar. Let's hear it. All right, just pot it a little bit. Keep it on. Hey, Drea.
Yeah.
Just pot it. Keep it going. Keep it going. So, Drea, what's the poll for this week for Jose Escamilla and the Passion of the Rods?
Oh, man. Something about, let's go along the lines of, like, do we believe that Jose Escamilla was ever going to, actually discover the veracity of these claims? Like, was he ever going to
prove rods? Was he going to?
Was he ever going to prove that rods were real?
Is the Skyfish Protocol real? Could that be it? No.
I mean, the protocol. I think he made up, but it's like I really do want to know. Like, do we think that he ever would have found that vindication?
We'll find it, but maybe Tito Guizar will inspire us. But we'll go to unbelieverspodcast.com and answer this poll about Jose Escamilla, and you'll be so surprised when you see it. So be sure and answer this week's poll at unbelieverspodcast.com. What's the final verdict on Jose's rods? Is it bugs? Is it a new species? Is it aliens? Is it just shitty cameras? Or is it other? Unbelieverspodcast.com. And now it's time for an all-new segment, Russ's Radio Roundup. Play the new theme. Yes, great new theme music. I want to thank Jack Ryan for that great theme. In this segment, I will talk about some current events and happenings in the paranormal radio or podcast world that I deem remarkable. And I will start off with, what else? Coast to Coast AM. And not to brag or anything, but Rob. Oh, by the way, I guess I should mention, Drea's been sent out on assignment. She's not here. It's just me and Rob. Hello, Rob.
What's happening, man?
But as I'm going on, because this is our new segment, Russ's Radio Roundup, I am now a coast-to-coast insider. I dropped that $6 a month, or whatever the heck it is, so I can stay current on this whole world of coast-to-coast and all that fun stuff. And I don't have a lot to play yet. I'm still a fairly new subscriber, and I'll be honest, Rob, I'm going to tell you, a lot of these coast-to-coast, I've been listening to them, they are a real snooze. Even the open line callers, it just is not that much good stuff out there. And maybe it's just a bad time. I don't know.
Yeah, I've listened to some of it, and I know what you mean. Like, it's better to listen to it in small portions.
And even on their app, like, they play commercials on that thing. It's like, we're paying for this thing, man. And there's still, like, the in-show ad. It sucks.
Hey,
but
dude, Noory's got to get paid. Noory's got to get that money.
Yeah, well, I do have this one thing, though. It's just one short thing right now this is some current Coast to Coast action. This is from Coast to Coast AM with Noory, of course. This is from January 15th of this very year, 2020. And here he is with his guest, John DeMartini, who is discussing health.